This is Off the Ice, the Nanaimo Clippers hockey show on 106.9 The Wolf. With the latest news on the Clippers and the BCHL, here's Dan Marshall.
It is Off the Ice, the Clippers hockey show for this Monday, and not the final Monday of October yet, as we still have a Halloween show to come. I'm trying to figure out how that show is going to be scary next week. Could the Clippers be scary good with 3 straight wins this week? Well, that would certainly qualify for a scary show. Tate Coughlin and Tristan Crozier will join me. We're going to talk a bit about their start to the season. Of course, Tate Coughlin really has just been here for a week, so lots of things to discuss about transitional phases and periods for Tate Coughlin, and we're also going to play a game with those two guys, and the game is called Hockey Meets. I'll explain that later. Hockey Meets is going to be the game that we play with Tristan Crozier and Tate Coughlin today. Right off the top, we'll have Mike Vandekamp, the head coach and general manager of the Clippers. But first of all, Jo has once again dug very deep into her bag of tricks for a trivia question. Go to our Facebook page, answer this question correctly. It's multiple choice again because Jo's very kind. Also, go to the Wolf Twitter page. You can throw in your answer. If you're right, you'll go into a draw. You could win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Nanaimo Clipper home game, and they're at home this weekend, Friday and Sunday. Jo, what did you come up with?
And the question is this. Finally, the Clippers are not the most penalized team in the BCHL. Which team has now been shorthanded more than Nanaimo? Is it A, Coquitlam, or B, Vernon?
There we go. Nanaimo number 2, 87 times shorthanded, and the other team 90 times shorthanded. If you want to jump on Facebook, get a pair of tickets to an upcoming Nanaimo Clipper home game, you can certainly do that. So let's bring in the head coach and general manager of the Clippers right now, Mike Vandekamp. I feel you're a bit hard done by. 1 possible point out of 4 last week for a couple of efforts on home ice. Do you feel a bit hard done by not to have had more than the 1 point?
Well, possibly. I mean, the games were awfully close. It could have went either way. I think that we had enough chances in the games to certainly be able to get 4 points, but you got to play better. You know, shortchanged. I'm not sure of. We're victims of our own mistakes. Both games. I thought the Wednesday game was a little bit on the flat side for me. I don't think we got outplayed by any stretch of imagination. I just think, we didn't play necessarily as good as we can play. It was kind of a game, sometimes coming off of a long road trip like the one we'd had, and we'd had some success on the road. You see it sometimes in the, in other sports or in the National Hockey League sometimes too, where teams just don't seem to respond that well in that first home game back. And part of it can be a little bit of fatigue. Part of it can just be not being able to maybe handle your own success well enough. I think that was probably part of it too. A little bit immature as a team to not show up and just really raise our game up another notch. And so, but again, the game could have went either way. It was 2-1 game. It was very close. We had our chances and just didn't capitalize. And then on the Saturday game, when you have the lead twice in a game, you should be able to hold on and win that hockey game. And we got off to a good start. Scoring late in the first to make it 2-0 was huge, and then our second period just didn't go as well as we wanted again, and we clawed our way back to a lead in the third period, and then only to give that up again. And each of the goals that we gave up were our own errors, our own mistakes, and we were guilty in those plays. And we just have to stay sharper for a full 60 minutes, and then you don't have to worry about being shortchanged or the bounces didn't go your way. You can control your own destiny out there and give yourself a much better chance of winning.
I'm used to the Nanaimo couch and games being a real war, and you can get that sense even from the broadcast booth in a lot of the matchups. And I talked to Bob Beattie this morning, and I said, were you surprised, Bob, that the game was as tame and somewhat docile as it was? And he said that, yes, he was surprised, but he didn't think that would continue starting tomorrow and for the rest of the regular season series. Were you surprised at the way that the game kind of felt against Cowichan, one of your most bitter rivals? And do you think now that guys are 1 game into it, that will change for the next 7?
I certainly agree that it was that type of game. I wasn't surprised because I think there was a couple of things a few things that worked against that game having the spirit that you might expect between the two teams. I think one was the fact that we had come off of that road trip, and I think there was so much intensity in that trip, and I think sometimes it's hard to sort of rekindle that sometimes. I kind of expected that a little bit out of our group. Two, I think midweek games, Wednesday night games particularly, and even tomorrow with the Tuesday game, they can be a little bit different, a little bit tougher sometimes as well. Just, unfortunately, sometimes the crowds aren't quite as big. There's a lot going on during the day that takes a player away from just preparing to play hockey. Sometimes school, et cetera, is a major factor. And then I think finally the fact that both teams have a tremendous number of new players. It was the first time we've played each other. There's absolutely no rivalry. There's no chance there could be a rivalry between the two teams. We haven't even seen each other yet in the season, which is really strange of the scheduling in our league. But I think that took away from it as well. So the one thing I do agree with 100% is I would expect moving forward every game there would be more and more of a rivalry built between ourselves and them as the season goes along, and then everyone else in our division as over the next little while we get to see those guys a little bit more often.
Does just the nature and the sheer size of the rink down in Duncan lend itself? Guys will be immediately right off the opening puck drop banging bodies because it's another one of those smaller rinks.
Yeah, I think the rink kind of dictates a little bit of the game for sure. You can't really hide in that rink. It's a bit more similar to the game that we played, whatever it was, 8 or 9 days ago or whatever in Merritt. In those small barns like that, things happen real quick, and the game is a little bit different. You have to make some adjustments, and I think just because again the players are in much tighter proximity of each other all the time, there's more physicality, and that usually leads to a little bit more intensity in the game. So I would expect that you'll see more in a rink like theirs for sure.
It was great to see the hard work of Jamie Collins, who's been your assist leader almost the entire season, finally get a goal I thought was going to be a huge goal on Saturday. But if there's a guy who's certainly worked his butt off to deserve to get that first goal, it was Collins, and I think that just might be the floodgates opening up for him.
Well, I hope so, because Jamie's one of those funny guys that I think he's played great. I was very happy with the way he's played, and I get surprised if you look at the statistics and you go, "Oh man, I didn't even realize that guy doesn't have a goal," because he's played really good. And what do you know? He didn't have a goal until that game, so it took him a while. But I'm not a huge stats guy when it comes to us looking at the way our guys are playing necessarily. I think sometimes obviously you need to see some production, especially if guys are getting shifts on the power play, which some of our guys are, and we're not really producing with consistency in that area. Then you obviously have some concerns. But I think Jamie's the prime example of a guy that could be considered an offensive forward, playing in offensive type situations, and doesn't have a goal yet. You're really happy with the way he played. So I mean, that's just kind of the way I see him at this stage, and yet we need more offense obviously as a team, and he has that expectation of himself, and so hopefully this does give him some confidence to just start to get some things rolling offensively moving forward.
I think Aiden Casey is underneath almost everybody's radar right now. And yes, he scores a goal in the game on Saturday, but I thought you talk about bringing spirit to a game. I thought he brought a lot of spirit, energy, intensity to a game. And for a guy that's kind of been on that bubble, that's exactly what he needed to do.
That's the way that Aiden has to play, and he and I had a pretty good chat before the weekend about why he's maybe been a little bit shortened up on ice time, and he's been sitting a couple games on the road trip he didn't dress, and he's kind of found himself in a battle here to keep himself in the lineup, and that's what we talked about is trying to identify who am I as a player, what is my identity. I have to bring my best attributes to the table every single game. And then from there, it keeps me in the lineup and lets me kind of grow as a player. And then you can add to your repertoire as you go. But you got to bring your best parts of your game every day. And he wasn't doing that. And because I think the best parts of his game are his speed and his tenacity and his work ethic and the spirit that he can play with. And we hadn't been seeing enough of that. So it's something that we were pushing for out of him. And I thought we saw that for the better part of the game. But we need to see more of it with consistency. And consistency is such an often used word, obviously, in sports, but that's what we're completely hunting for at this stage, because we have been an inconsistent team so far this year, and our record reflects that. We're 8-6-2 at this stage, and we could be anything from, who knows? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but our record could be better. Let's put it that way. If we had a more consistent effort every single day and a consistent focus from our players, so we're still learning and growing and maturing as a team for sure.
I thought I saw little improvements in Tate Coughlin's game from night 1 to night 2. Are you expecting that that's going to be for a guy that is a veteran of junior hockey, over 100 games in the Western League? Are we probably going to see those little improvements game to game, even throughout the course of the 3 games this week?
If today's practice was any indication, I would say yes for sure, because this is the best ice session that he's had on our team was today, games and practices included. So I thought he had a great practice today. I think he has a lot to bring to our team. I think there's a lot of adjustments to go through as a player. It's a different style of game in our league than it is in the Western League for sure. His role will probably be somewhat different. Obviously, all your teammates are different. You have to go through the emotional side of it too, where I'm sure he's been in that league for a couple of years, and he, that's where he wanted to make his hay as a player, and ultimately to not be there anymore. There's a little bit of an adjustment that you have to go through from an emotional standpoint too. And I've been through this for a lot of years, and been through this with the players in his type of situation before, and I think I can, hopefully help him through that process a little bit, because I think he has a lot to bring to our team, and like I said, his best ice session in our jersey was in a practice jersey today. So, I hope that he can build off of that and just sort of get better from one game to the next, a little bit more comfortable, and then become, the contributor that we believe he can.
You were missing 2 forwards due to injury last week, and I say this a bit tongue-in-cheek, but maybe I'm a bit serious too. Hopefully no other injuries. Do you have enough forwards to go tomorrow?
We do. We haven't, lost any. We got through our practice today, so that's good. But the injuries have been unfortunate, and to both guys. But I think Lucas's injury was the one that was real tough, just because of the specific spot that he plays in our lineup. He is a natural center iceman, and he's good at that. He's good in our own end. He's good in the draw circle. He's a feisty guy. He's a penalty killer. He's a power play player too. And these guys are just, you don't replace them. Like, not at our level. You just don't have a guy that you just slot in that spot now. It just doesn't happen that way. And I think he was playing really well at the time. We had pretty good rhythm going with our lines, with our team coming off that road trip. And I just look back at that play in practice and think, like, how does something like that even happen? It was like totally accidental. Didn't have anything to really do with it. Wasn't even that hard. It just was an accident, and just could have happened out in the parking lot for as much as it happened in our practice. So you just kind of wonder why, right? And you say, geez, I wish the kid would have had the flu that day and just not even been there, because we sure could have used him in our games. But you just have to live with it. Injuries are really, really frustrating part of the sport, and any sport for that matter, and it really does take away from you icing your best team, and but in certain cases, certain players are just sort of irreplaceable, and I think he's kind of one of those guys for us a little bit. So we're just going to have to sort of band together as a team here a little bit, try to be a little bit better. We're going to have to, get more consistent play out of some other guys, and eventually find the right fit for that spot and role on the team. We sort of are headed in that direction now, and hopefully we can figure that out over the next few games.
Coach, appreciate the time. We'll chat again tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
That is head coach and general manager of the Clippers, Mike Vandekamp, joining us here. We're going to bring in Tristan Crozier and Tate Coughlin next. We're going to talk some hockey and then play our game, Hockey Meets. I'll explain more after this. We're back on Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Tristan Crozier and Tate Coughlin with me here. We've got TC and TC to talk about their early days as the Nanaimo Clippers. A few more days for Tristan Crozier, but Tate Coughlin just here. Lots of junior hockey to talk about with Tate as well. We'll start with Tristan, the veteran of this group. That adjustment socially, on the ice, playing in Alberta, your home province, coming out to Nanaimo, playing for the Clippers. You've got a quarter of a season under your belt now. How has that gone?
Yeah, it's gone pretty well so far. No complaints. I'm really enjoying being in Nanaimo, and it's a great group of guys, and I'm really happy to be here.
Just your 18-year-old season, but a huge role on this team. I think you could make the argument that you played number one center type minutes. Maybe you and Finn are kind of jockeying back and forth, but I think you could certainly make that argument. You've come here to be a number one center. Did you imagine that would be the case?
No, I came here. Mike Vandekamp traded for me in early September, and I came here with no expectations. I just came here to play hockey, and it's worked out so far.
There's something special, and it hasn't always been because you guys have lit it up numbers-wise, but just the way you guys play. Yourself, Jamie Collins, and Vincent Millette. There's a certain chemistry there. I can see it. I'm sure that you can feel it. Why is that?
We've been together since probably day 2 or day 3, and we clicked right away. Jamie and I are really close off the ice, and it works really well.
What are some of the things that those guys bring to the table on the ice that you think make the line work, Jamie and Vincent?
Well, both guys are very hardworking, and they're both smart, and we cycle the puck down low, and we make the right plays and pass it well. We're just there for each other.
You've had some power play minutes with Tate Coughlin as he's joined the team. How is that dynamic evolving? Because obviously that's the new situation. You've got a new guy playing with you on special teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new guy, it's always different, but we had a couple practices together, and we really clicked with him sitting in the middle in the high slot, and hopefully it translates into the game.
From the team standpoint, 8-6-0-1. First quarter of the season is in the books for 8-6-0-2 now. Talk about, from a team standpoint, your assessment of the first quarter of the season.
I think it's been up and down. I mean, we've had some really big highs, like our weekend in the interior, and we've also had some lows. I mean, this past weekend wasn't a super high point. I mean, we only got 1 out of the possible 4 points against teams that we probably should have swept, to be honest. But I think we just need to get our consistency down, and then we'll be right back to the top of the Island Division.
As you're assessing your own game, as you're having meetings with Mike Vandekamp, what about personally the first quarter of the season for you? What have you felt that you've done well? Where do you think improvements need to be made?
I mean, I think everybody has some personal goals that they keep within themselves. I haven't been too focused on mine. I'm just more focused on if the team wins, then the personal successes will follow.
This past week, you mentioned probably should have had 4 points there. As you look at the things that you need to take into that game against the Cowichan Valley Capitals on Tuesday, you just saw that team. So what do you need to do just that little bit better to turn that into a 2-point effort?
Score goals. I think if we capitalize on our power play once, that'll be huge, and we keep them to none on our kill, their power play. If we win the special teams battle, that'll be big. We can take them 5-on-5. I think we outplayed them 5-on-5. We just need to stick to our system, and we'll be good.
It looked like their goalie, you had one of the big chances in the second period of that game. Kowalski had another one. Seems to stay up a little bit, and then he starts to take away net. Is there a challenge to playing against him that maybe you've started to figure out a little bit?
No, I haven't thought too much about it. I mean, I've only seen the goalie once. I mean, we'll see him again 6 or 7 more times throughout the year. So then probably by then I can give you a more accurate answer.
You look like a guy that's a lock to be an NCAA player. We just had the BC Hockey League showcase. Are you having conversations right now?
I think everybody on the team is having conversations. Nothing really too serious yet.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Play it close to the vest. Nothing wrong with that. Tate Coughlin comes in to join me now. Back home on Vancouver Island. You have to at least like that part of this move to Nanaimo, that a Victoria guy back home on Vancouver Island probably feels pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Like an hour and a half away from home, yeah. Can't get much closer. Parents come up all the time. Yeah, it's good to be back on the island for sure with a few friends on the team as well.
Not just that you've been playing over 100 games in the Western Hockey League, but with the Kelowna Rockets, one of the real class organizations in all of junior hockey. Just talk about what it's like being a part of that organization.
Oh, yeah, it was something special for sure, yeah. I'm always going to remember those teammates and every person involved, especially Bruce Hamilton, to bring me in there and have me over the last 3 seasons.
What is it about that organization, starting from ownership to coaches to the guys in the locker room to the people in the community? What is it about Kelowna that makes that organization so good?
I think just like the drive to win for the most part. Everybody's just like so driven there, really classy as well.
You had the chance when you were playing in the VIJHL on the island to be a top scorer, to be put out in offensive situations. Are you excited playing for the Clippers that it looks like Mike Vandekamp is going to give you the chance to be that player again?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like so far, I've been power play and everything like that, so I just gotta get comfortable with all the players and just run with the opportunity.
Everybody talks about, and Mike Vandekamp has coached in the Western Hockey League. He knows as well as anybody the transition that you're going through right now. But as you set out there on the ice for the first time last Wednesday, you're playing a division rival, the Cowichan Valley Capitals. You know it's an important game for the team, but you're trying to figure out what the Junior A game is like. What was kind of the biggest thing that makes you go, man, this is so much different than what I'm used to?
Probably just like the speed. I don't know. It was a little bit like slower, I'm gonna be honest, but yeah, like just like getting chemistry with the new line mates and all that was probably the biggest.
You finally, I shouldn't say finally, it only took a few periods, but you get your first point, and using your tremendous reach, you're a big, tall power forward to make a play on Aiden Casey's goal. Talk about your first point.
Yeah, it was just a good forechecking play by my line there, and a lucky bounce, so just threw it back door to Casey there, and he banged her in.
You have a chance now to practice with the team a bit with 2 games under your belt. Mike Vandekamp said your practice Monday was the best that you've looked in a Clipper uniform. Do you feel that transition is happening quickly? Like you're just taking information, and I'm imagining, from everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like comfortability, like I said, right? But yeah, like practices are like good speed and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just it's been good so far.
Guys have come from the Western League to the BC Hockey League in this program, and it can be great, and it can work out not very well. And 2 of the guys that have come back recently, Britt Ralston came from Prince George to here, had a fantastic season. And earlier, Greg Fraser came back again from Prince George, had a fantastic season here. And to me, it's all about the mindset of not looking at it like I'm taking a step down in my career, but taking it as I have an opportunity to take that next step in my career. Is that the attitude you think you need to have?
Yeah, for sure. Like I want to be a leader on this team. I want to like lead by example, like with my experience playing 100 WHL games, right? So yeah, I just want to show the guys like what it takes, kind of thing.
Do you know anything about the island rivalries from playing Junior B in the Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League? Have you taken in like what this game in Duncan is going to mean for the Clippers here on Tuesday, or is that so far removed that you're just trying to take it fresh?
The guys have talked about it. But yeah, I'm pretty new to the BCHL, right? So I wouldn't really know a whole lot. But yeah, it's a big one against Cowichan for sure.
Guys, we're going to play a game now called Hockey Meets. You each have a bell in front of you. Get those bells nice and close. The first person to chime in on their bell, and Joe is going to watch to help me to decide who gets to answer. If you think you know the answer, ring your bell quickly. You'll get a chance. If you get a correct answer, you're going to work your way towards the Hockey Meets prize pack. Tristan Crozier, Tate Coughlin, Hockey Meets. Here we go. This meat is sold at the concession stand at most hockey arenas. Tristan Crozier.
A hot dog?
Hot dog is correct. 1-0 Crozier. Neither one of you were here for this bizarre moment in hockey history, but it's about one of your teammates. Last year on a road trip, Matt Kowalski told me he really doesn't like this meat. Both guys look at Tristan Crozier.
Hamburgers?
No, not correct. The correct answer is steak. We're on the road in the United States, and we're at this little bar, and we've got nice steaks out and salads and baked potatoes. And Matt Kowalski comes up with this nugget. I don't really like steak. I've never heard a hockey player say that in my entire life. But Matt Kowalski said it last year. Sorry, Matt, if you're listening. Not throwing you under the bus. It was a weird thing to hear. Question number 3. It's 1-0 Crozier. Clippers coach Mike Vandekamp will often add this meat onto his salads.
Bacon?
Tristan Crozier. No, not correct. Not correct. Question number 4. The answer, chicken. Chicken, often on the salad. When traveling on a road game on BC ferries, there are usually 3 meat options at breakfast. Name me 2 of them. Oh, that was a tie. Tie goes to the newcomer, Coughlin.
Ham and bacon.
Ham and bacon is correct. And do you know, there's no extra points, but do you know the third one?
Sausage.
Sausage is correct. The 3 meats for Clipper road trips. Same thing. You've been on ferries probably your entire life. We have ourselves a 1-1 tie. This meat is so good by itself, you've probably had it on a bus ride home as the only pizza topping. Well, that looked like a tie again, Joe. Can you break that tie?
I'd have to go with Tristan on that one.
We're going Tristan? All right, Tristan.
Pepperoni?
Pepperoni is correct. The classic pepperoni pizza, 2-1 Crozier. Coach Dustin Donahue likes this meat for a road trip meal is often served in a bun? Tate Coughlin.
Beef.
Can you be more specific?
A hamburger.
There we go. 2-2 time. This is a bit unfair. Initially, we were going to have Will and Neve be here tonight when I came up with this question. So Tristan has the upper hand, but you can still possibly guess this one. This is probably the only post-game sandwich the Clippers will ever get, especially on the road in Powell River. Tristan Crozier.
Was it a beef dip?
Beef dip is correct. A little unfair because you had the one beef dip on the Powell River trip, the only sandwich that we'll probably ever see on a Clipper road trip. During the course of your hockey career, you probably had lasagna for a pre or post game meal. Which meat is typically served in lasagna? Tristan Crozier.
Ooh.
Oh, he's thinking now. He's doubting himself. I'll give you a shot clock. 3, 2.
Is it hamburger?
I got to give it to him. Ground beef is correct.
Beef.
We'll give you that. I was looking for ground beef, but hamburger, that's pretty good. We'll take that. Joe, give us the score update.
It is currently 4-2 for Tristan.
Tristan is up 4-2. We have 2 questions left. Hockey players have had their share of Subway sandwiches over the years. When you're thinking healthy, what is the Subway meat with the lowest fat total? Tate Coughlin.
Tuna.
Tuna is not correct. It is turkey. Turkey. Last questions. Deer can be found everywhere around Nanaimo. Deer meat is probably not something we're ever going to see eaten on a Clipper road trip. But what is deer meat actually called? Oh, both guys stumped on the deer meat question in 3, 2, shot clock, winding down. No. Venison.
No.
The real name for deer meat. Joe D, we have a winner.
Yes, we do. Tristan.
Tristan, you have won a Hockey Meats prize pack, courtesy of Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Look at this bad boy.
Awesome.
Tate passed it over to him. That is an exceptionally large bag of beef jerky. Do not eat that in one sitting, or you will not be able to play tomorrow night in Duncan, and probably you'll have to sit out the West Kelowna game as well on Friday, because that is a heck of a lot of hockey meat.
Yeah,
Tristan
that is.
Crozier, Tate Coughlin joining us here on Off the Ice, talking about hockey and playing hockey meets. It was TC against TC. A very busy show today, and we have to get to our trivia answer and question, and it involves penalties. Joe D, what's our question tonight? Who's our winner?
Well, yeah, you mentioned that the Clippers are not the most penalized team in the BCHL anymore. So we asked, is it Coquitlam or Vernon who's more shorthanded or has been more shorthanded than Nanaimo? And Martin guessed correctly, with Coquitlam. Congratulations,
Coquitlam,
Martin.
90 times shorthanded. The Clippers 87 times shorthanded. They're hoping they don't take that overall lead back tomorrow. Parents Weekend begins on Friday. All the parents are going to be in town Friday. West Kelowna is here, 7 o'clock game. Then Sunday, the Powell River Kingsbury, 2 o'clock matinee. Lots of people to thank on our show here today. Thanks to the TV crew from Shaw joining us as they always do every week. We played Hockey Meets with Tristan Crozier and Tate Coughlin, and also talked to them about the start to their Clipper seasons. And Mike Vandekamp, the head coach and general manager, joined us off the top. Thank you so much for listening. On behalf of Joe D, this is Dan Marshall. Good night from Off the Ice.
You've been listening to Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Join us again next Monday night at 7 on Nanaimo's Rock, 106.9 The Wolf.